I was taken for everything because of trust.
Instead of finding love, one woman says she fell victim to a romance scam that left her heartbroken and broke.
Joanne Kinsley was 68 years old and widowed. These two facts, age and loss, do not explain what happened, but they establish the conditions under which it became possible. Widowhood creates absence. A Facebook dating profile was an attempt to address that absence, to re-enter a world of connection that grief had interrupted. The decision was ordinary. Millions of adults across all demographics make the same choice. The man she believed she was communicating with claimed to work on an oil tanker. The profession is significant. Maritime work provides a built-in explanation for unavailability. Ships are at sea for months. Communication is irregular. Visits are impossible until contracts end. The occupation created a structural barrier to verification while simultaneously explaining why the relationship could only exist through messages and calls. The story aligned with expectations about how such work actually functions. For well over a year, they communicated. Hundreds of messages accumulated, enough to fill what she now holds as evidence of her own trust. The rhythm of daily contact created predictability, and predictability became a substitute for trust. Each message confirmed his existence. Each response reinforced the sense that she knew him, that the relationship was progressing, that eventually the distance would close. The requests began with plausibility. Shipping expenses. A man working on a tanker might reasonably need help with logistics. Hospital bills, illness happens, especially in remote locations where medical care is expensive. Cryptocurrency investment, presented perhaps as an opportunity, a way for both of them to build toward a shared future. Each category of expense was discrete, emotionally resonant, and embedded within the ongoing narrative of a man whose life was complicated by distance and circumstance. $800,000. The number represents not a single decision, but a sequence of decisions, each one justified by the context of the moment, each one building on the trust established by previous exchanges. The extraction occurred incrementally, through FedEx packages carrying cash to receivers she would never meet. The process succeeded because it aligned with normal behavior, helping someone you love through difficulty.
Mark Villani has more.
It's tear-jerking.
Joanne Kinsley holds on to hundreds of messages from someone she thought she was in love with.
I guess the trusting person can't understand how people can be so heartless.
The 68-year-old widow was living in Muskoka, Ontario in May of last year. That's when she created a Facebook dating profile. The person she was chatting with for well over a year said he worked on an oil tanker boat. She was soon told to send cash via FedEx to a receiver, paying for everything from shipping expenses to hospital bills and investing in cryptocurrency. Total losses of nearly $800,000.
I was taken for everything because of trust.
This 10X thing makes you think big.
The scammer used one fake name, but a photo of Grant Cardone, an online influencer and entrepreneur with millions of followers. Kinsley was even sent fake passports and identification with his image.
They give you copies of all of these forms, the checks, to make it feel really realistic.
The photograph belonged to Grant Cardone, an online influencer with millions of followers, an entrepreneur whose face circulates widely across social media. The scammer appropriated this image and attached it to a fictional identity. Fake passports followed, fake identification, documents designed to answer the questions that might otherwise create doubt. This is the infrastructure of impersonation consistency. A photograph alone might raise suspicion, but a photograph accompanied by official-looking documents transforms suspicion into reassurance. The victim is not trusting blindly. She is trusting evidence that has been fabricated specifically to survive scrutiny. The checks, the forms, the identification, each artifact was designed to make the lie feel realistic, to provide the documentation that a careful person might request. The cybersecurity expert describes these operations precisely: rooms full of people sitting, working this type of scam. These are not isolated individuals improvising deception. They are employees in an industry. They sift through social media platforms. They study their targets. They identify vulnerabilities, widowhood, loneliness, the desire for connection, and they construct narratives calibrated to exploit those specific conditions. The personalization is not accidental. It is research-based. The excuse for never meeting was always present. There was always a reason: the ship, the contract, the distance, the complication. Each excuse was plausible in isolation. Oil tankers do keep people away. International work does create scheduling difficulties. The pattern is visible only in retrospect, when the accumulation of excuses reveals not circumstance but strategy. Joanne Kinsley communicated with others as well, people who posed as family members, lawyers, shipping consultants, cryptocurrency investors. The scam was not a single voice, but a chorus, each member reinforcing the credibility of the others. When she spoke to the lawyer, he confirmed what the investor had said. When she spoke to the family member, he confirmed what the primary contact had described. The network of fictional characters created cross-referential legitimacy. Each voice validated the others. She sent cash via FedEx, not wire transfers flagged by financial institutions, but physical currency in packages. The method bypassed the systems designed to detect fraud. FedEx delivers packages. It does not evaluate the contents for evidence of exploitation. The infrastructure performed as designed, indifferent to what the envelopes contained.
There's always a reason, there's always an excuse why they can never meet. But, if they could just get this money, it's going to help the relationship.
But the damage was done. Kinsley had to sell her house in Ontario and move to Calgary 2 months ago, where her son is taking care of her financially. Police are now investigating her case as she warns others not to make the same mistake.
And if they ask you for money, don't do it.
Romance scams in Canada last year accounted for over 1,200 complaints, 925 victims, and more than $50 million in losses.
They sound like they're just the person that you would like to meet.
Dr. Tom Keenan is a cybersecurity expert. He says scammers will sift through your social media platforms, finding out every detail about you to pull at your heartstrings.
If they start asking you for money, they're probably not your honey. They're probably in it as a business. And these are businesses. There are rooms full of people sitting, working this type of scam.
Joanne Kinsley sold her house. The home she owned in Muskoka, Ontario, the place where she created the Facebook profile, where she read hundreds of messages, where she believed a relationship was forming, is gone. The equity that represented decades of life became the final resource extracted before the source was depleted. She moved to Calgary 2 months ago. Her son is taking care of her financially. The phrase is clinical, but it describes a reversal of generational expectations. A 68-year-old widow, who should be approaching the end of her working life with resources accumulated for exactly this purpose, is now dependent on her child. The $800,000 that should have funded her remaining years, her housing, her health care, her independence, was sent in FedEx packages to receivers who never identified themselves. Police are investigating. The case joins over 1,200 complaints filed in Canada last year, representing $50 million in documented losses. The actual figures are certainly higher. Many victims never report. They absorb the shame in silence, unable to explain what happened without implicating their own judgment. She holds on to hundreds of messages. They are evidence now of a crime, of a fiction, of a relationship that never existed except in the responses she sent and the hope she sustained. The man whose photograph she trusted has millions of followers. His face is still circulating online, attached to profiles he does not control, promising connection to people who do not know they are looking at a mask. The oil tanker never docked, the excuses never ended, the money is gone.
Mark is live with us now. Mark, police are again warning Calgarians to be vigilant online.
Yes, Jocelyn, police say you really need to watch out for evasive behavior. Joanne Kinsley was always given an excuse why she couldn't meet this man in person or talk over video chat, but she did speak with him over the phone along with others who posed as the man's family members, his lawyers, shipping consultants, and crypto investors. Now, we also reached out to Grant Cardone's media team. We didn't hear back, but posts on his website confirmed they're very much aware of these scammers, and they warn people not to give money to anyone claiming to be a celebrity or someone famous. Jocelyn.
All right. Thank you, Mark.